Hi, and welcome back to the Ascension Playground. This is Ursi, and today I just wanted to share a message with you from Cryon. Cryon is a collective energy, and it took me a while to understand, like, what does that mean? There's a man named Lee Carroll, and I've listened to Lee channel this group consciousness, which is primarily angelic. And he comes from San Diego. I think he studied to be an engineer and was working in photography. And something happened in his life where he began channeling this consciousness. And so when we think about a channeler, I know sometimes the alarm bells go off and on thinking, oh, could it be negative energy? And yet like I was raised Catholic, and so reading the Bible was part of how I was brought up. When we read the Bible and we learn about some of the apostles, how the Holy Spirit descended upon them, and then they would start writing some of the epistles, etc. So when it's framed that way, that feels good. It's just now in 2022, we're talking about channeling and channelers and thinking, is it good energy or is it not good energy? And I would say use your own internal compass to feel into, does this frequency and vibration feel like it's coming from the heart, or is it coming from another place like the ego or the head? And if it feels like it's coming from the heart, but then there's discordant or mixed energies, sometimes channels can come forward and they look one way and feel one way, but there can be like a riptide or subcurrent underneath. So for each of us, standing in our own sovereignty and deciding whom we want to listen to and whom we don't, what feels good and what doesn't. So Cryon, kryon.com, has many free audios available on that website. So if you think of Cryon as a collective energy, not in the third dimension, so we are living now in form on Earth, so three-dimensional form. But when we start talking about other energies or other realms or dimensions, sometimes that is just a perceptual shift in our own awareness here in 3D. So my belief is there are other ways to engage with non-3D dimensions to bring through important messages, potential creativity to support the collective, groundbreaking genius problem solving for health. So that's the potential. And that's why I tune into, I learned about God in the Bible and Jesus. Why wouldn't I then carry that evolutionary format into embracing a broader frequency and messaging? Always tuning into myself again as the primary filter. Does this feel right or not? Do I move toward it or away from it? And I found over the years that there's some channels I listen to, and then I thought, okay, that fed me for that time, but now it's a little too saccharine or too sweet. I'm hungry for more. So where's the beef, so to speak? So that's been my evolution. I've listened and read books by Seth, the Abraham messages that's channeled, and Cryon has been a foundational format for me. So that said, in a broader context, let me share with you a recent message that Cryon brought through. It's like a story. And on his website, Lee Carroll, he does what's called a circle of 12. And those are specific sharings. But this particular story I wanted to bring to the Ascension Playground, and you'll understand why in just a moment. The message is, question, are you ready to change your life? Are you ready to change your life? Here it goes. I'm going to read this. Because he brings us into this meditation, okay, we're kind of tuned in, turn off our brain, tune into the heart. And here is, imagine Lee and Cryon asking this of you. As you approach the room that you're going to be in, There's noise in that room, a lot of noise. As you enter the room, suddenly it stops and there's a breath that becomes one that's taken by all. There are so many in the room. They all stopped. The noise stopped and they're all looking at you. Let me explain what's going to happen right now. You just walked into a big group of children and they see you, and now it erupts again. They laugh and they applaud and they're so happy to see you. They crowd around you as you enter the room, trying to take your hand. They're so pleased to see you. It's hard not to laugh at those beautiful children, what they say, what they do, and how joyful they are. Look at all of them. There's so many of them. It's an odd thing to recognize yourself in every single child. Who is this? Who could they be? They surround you with laughter. They are pulling upon you in your hands. Come this way. We want to show you this. We have all these drawings we've made, expecting you to be here. We would love to share some time with you. And you go with them willingly. And this is where Kryon says, I want to introduce you to joy, but who's giving it to you? Every one of these children is you. It's your inner child from every lifetime you've ever had. I'm going to pause there for a moment and I'm going to reread that because this is the magic that I felt when I was reading this. Every one of those children, as you entered this room of laughter and delight, every single one of those children that you saw was your inner child from all of your lifetimes. This lifetime, plus if you believe in reincarnation, your previous lifetimes. And if you really want to get esoteric, you go into the future and you're actually meeting your future inner children as well. Kryon goes on. Those beginning years before the responsibilities, before you had anything to worry about, they are you. And in that, they want to share an unbridled joy with you. What would that mean? For you, it erases fear. While you're joyful, laughing and giddy, and you don't fear much, you have so much peace, laughter, and joy. It erases so many things. It even tends to erase disease. This has been documented, dear ones. That's Kryon using that beautiful term, dear ones. This is infectious, and it'll go into your cellular structure. All of this laughing, all of these beautiful faces, all of them together, almost in one consciousness, in one voice, listening to you, and you're listening to them. You laugh and you cry because you're joyful. Here's what I want. I want you to cognize this and take it home with you. I want you to be able to think of this very particular metaphor, this circle of 12, every single time you can. When you wake up in the morning to rekindle the inner children, they are all you. All are in your soul. Can you imagine such a thing when you wake up in the morning, hearing the laughter of the child within? Before you go to sleep at night, it's going to change your life. I want you to stay here. Stay and be imbued with joy. All of the ones that you've experienced in your life and all of those lives, all of them that you've lived before. Stay and laugh. Stay and have the joy of the inner child. And so it is. Kryon of Magnetic Services. I'm sharing that with you today on the Ascension Playground, this playground of delight and sharing, and reminding myself that, the way to heaven, the way into the other dimensions and realms is truly through one's heart. This is the quintessence of and the joy of the playground. It's through the heart. We're not going to ascend or move into the other realms through our minds. Our minds will be filled with amazing wisdom, but it's truly the path of the child, our inner children, from our past lives, from our current life, and even our future lives. And I have a message to share for anyone who's had a very difficult childhood, where you weren't loved, where you didn't feel you were given that which you needed. And if that's your path, I would say, well, then embrace this message today and look within your heart for the inner children from past lives or future lives where you did have the joy and the laughter. And if you still can't feel it or sense it from any of your lifetimes, then I would advise you to go to a playground, sit on a park bench and listen to the birds and the animals and wait for the children to come in. The children laughing and joyful, so you can feel that energy, as I try and do, as I remind myself to not be so serious, not to worry or fret or be too fearful, but instead to engage my childlike nature, guiding myself certainly with my mind, but to opening my heart and to remembering that it really is about the joy, and joy is a conscious choice. So I want to thank Cryon of Magnetic Service for sharing these public downloads of free audio portion on the website again, www.cryon.com. Thank you, and I hope to see you next time on the Ascension Playground.